I'm J.R. Church. Welcome to today's webcast. Well, things are heating up in Iran. According to this news agency, Iran said Monday that it plans to build 2 nuclear uranium enrichment facilities deep inside the mountains to protect them from attack. A new challenge to Western powers trying to curb Tehran's nuclear program for fear it is aimed at making weapons. Ali Akbar Salehi, who is also Iran's vice president, said Tehran intends to use its more advanced centrifuges at the new sites, a decision that could add to growing concerns in the West over Tehran's program because the technology would allow Iran to accelerate the pace of its program. The 2 plants are among 20 industrial-scale uranium enrichment facilities Iran approved the construction of this last November, a dramatic expansion of the program in defiance of UN demands that it halt enrichment. Hopefully, this is a quote, hopefully, said the vice president of Iran, we may begin construction of the 2 new enrichment sites in the next Iranian year, as ordered by the president. The semi-official ISNA quoted Salehi as saying on Monday. The Iranian calendar year begins this March 21st with the spring equinox. As of now, he said, our enrichment sites will be built inside mountains. The decision appears to be aimed at shielding the facilities from potential military attacks. Well, Israel considers Iran's nuclear program as a strategic threat and has hinted at the possibility of airstrikes against Iran if world pressure does not halt Tehran's nuclear efforts. Of course, as you recall, Israel destroyed a nuclear facility in 1981 in Iraq, and in September 2007, another one in Syria. What will Israel do with Iran? Well, Iran's enrichment of uranium is the central concern of not only Israel, but also the United States and other nations negotiating with the country over its disputed nuclear program. The technology can be used to generate fuel for power plants and isotopes for medical uses, but it can also be used to make weapons-grade uranium for atomic bombs. Listen to me. There is not one single nation in the world on this planet that has built nuclear facilities for power plants and medical isotopes that have not built nuclear bombs as well. Every single nuclear nation has its bombs. Don't expect Iran to enrich uranium and not build bombs. Tehran insists its enrichment work is only meant for peaceful purposes, but Washington and its allies worry that the program masks efforts to build a nuclear weapon. Tehran has already said that it may install more advanced centrifuges as its small enrichment site nears the holy city of Qom, which was made public last September. The new centrifuges are more advanced than the decades-old P1 type centrifuges used at the country's main enrichment facility at Natanz in central Iran. Centrifuges are machines that are used to enrich uranium, a technology that can produce fuel for power plants or materials for a nuclear weapon. Uranium enriched to a low level is used to produce fuel, but further enrichment makes it suitable for use in building nuclear arms. The new models will be able to enrich uranium much faster than the old ones, which means that Iran could amass more material in a shorter space of time than could be turned out into the fissile core of missiles, should Tehran choose to do so. Well, Salehi said that the new enrichment sites will be equal to that of Natanz in terms of production capacity, but smaller in geographical size. Another indication that more advanced centrifuges will be installed, requiring less space to churn out the same enriched uranium. Listen to this. More than 8,600 centrifuges have been set up at Natanz, but only about 3,800 are achieving enriching are actively enriching uranium. According to the International Atomic Energy Agency, the facility will eventually house 54,000 centrifuges. 54,000 centrifuges at Natanz. And 10 new nuclear facilities are being built this next year. And they're going to be built inside mountains. Tehran produced its first batch of uranium enriched to a higher level earlier this month, prompting the U.S. and its allies to seek new UN Security Council sanctions. Big deal. So what's that going to prove? It proves nothing. It means that Tehran will not listen to the UN, will not listen to reason, will not listen to the other nations of the world. Tehran is bent on building nuclear bombs for one reason. They want to take over the world. Oh, Israel, of course, they want to wipe off the map. But after Israel, they're going to go after Egypt and Saudi Arabia and the rest of the Arab world. They will too. They are of a Shiite Muslim extraction. And that's the wicked kind, you know. Well, listen, I want you to get a book here. This is called Atomic Iran, Countdown to Armageddon, How the West Can Be Saved. It's written by Mike Evans, a #1 New York best-selling author, New York Times best-selling author. And this book will give you the whole report. It is a fascinating read. It's 477 pages, nearly 500 pages. I want you to know this book is only $14.95. Look how thick it is, how big it is. This is an awesome book that normally would sell in bookstores for like $22.95 or $24.95. All we're asking is $14.95 plus shipping and handling. Call the phone number at the bottom of your screen and get it today. Find out about the atomic Iran. And by the way, Mike Evans writes with real flair. Let me just read to you just a little bit from his first chapter, which he calls The Apocalypse. Hamilton Fisk spread his body flat against the tile rooftop and eased closer to the edge. He had been waiting there all night, staring at the Beirut skyline and the Lebanese sky. All the while his ears had been tuned to the street below, listening for the sound of the truck he knew was coming. As the sun broke through the eastern sky, the truck finally arrived and backed up to the loading dock. Goes on to say, he adjusted the earphone in his right ear, pressed the button to his radio. Someone there? Do they have it? Fisk watched the truck for a moment, then keyed the microphone once more. This is the way the book is written. So it keeps you right on the edge of your chair, of your seat. It's breathtaking. So get the book today, will you? It's not a fiction book, but it's written in a narrative style. Really terrific. It's called Atomic Iran. It's only $14.95. Order it today from us. We'll be glad to ship it out to you. Just call the phone number 1-800-475-1111 and get your copy today. And by the way, our new magazine will be out in the mail. It's out in the mail now, and it'll be reaching your mailbox soon. March 2010 issue with the sacrificial lamb on the front. This is a Passover lamb. For the first time in, nearly 2,000 years, Jewish Passover suppers will have roasted lamb, not just a dry shank bone. For the first time in nearly 20 centuries, Israel is sacrificing again this coming March 29th for the first time. It's a fascinating article. There are a lot of other really good things here. One article called It Didn't Rain in Israel for 1,800 Years. You've got to read that. Powerful. And the pre-tribulation rapture, another installment there. Another war in Lebanon would likely include Syria. Iran's big punch, their nuclear warning. And Eschatology 101, Chapter 3 is in our March issue, so get it today. And when you call, you may want to subscribe. I urge you to do so. If you will subscribe for a year, we'll be glad to send you a bonus. Your choice, either 4 books or 3 videos. Ask about the bonuses when you call. I'm J.R. Church. We'll see you again tomorrow with our analysis of the news.